Hello, today I'd like to show you another of the basic embroidery stitches that I use when I'm doing simple redwork stitchery. So today I'm going to show you how to do a blanket stitch, and I've got my sample piece here ready, and I've got a stabilizer on the back. If I'm drawing a line, I use a water erasable marking pen. I've got scissors, I've got the stranded cottons that I generally use, and I usually use 2 strands of those. And so I'm going to show you today how to do a blanket stitch on this sample. Now, a blanket stitch is often, and the name implies, used in blanketing. It used to be what was used around the edge of blankets in a much bigger form, and wool usually. And it's also used for appliqué. You would use this as an edging to put some appliqué on, but it is also usable as an embroidery stitch, and I have used it in redwork, so I thought I'd show you how I do it. So when you're starting out, and I just start with a little knot on the back, and I should just mention that for setting up and starting redwork, I have done a previous quilting tips and techniques video, and it was number 020, in case you're wanting to see how I got started with setting up with the fabrics and things. So today you would come out at this point where my thread is coming out, although if you were just starting, of course it wouldn't be coming from a stitch, but you're starting on that outside edge, and you're going to come along a stitch distance and in a stitch distance. So you're going to pop your needle in, so have your thread coming around, because you want it to loop around the needle. And I'm going to come back up there, so that pretty much an even distance between where your thread starts and where your needle is now underneath. So we're going to bring that up, and that thread that was sitting around under the needle is just going to form a loop there. So I'll just do that again. So along and in, and that needle needs to sit over that thread so that it will form a loop around the thread. And you can keep on going with this. You can of course go around corners and things, but if you're going around a curved shape, just remember you may need to bring your thread, your next stitch, in a touch to be able to form the curve, because you want it always to be at right angles to your outside line that you're creating by having that thread going along the edge there. So if I'm going around a curve, I'm probably going a little bit closer here, but still a further distance on that outside edge. And if you were going a curve in the other way, of course you would spread these inside stitches further out, as I have done. Let's show you on this sample. On this sample here, they were a little bit further apart in order to create that curve, and closer together when you're forming a curve going around that way. So there's another stitch that's great to use for redwork. It's quite decorative, or it can be a very practical appliqué or edging stitch. And I just let you know that I have got a free downloadable stitch guide on my website, GourmetQuilter.com, which shows all these stitches that I commonly use when I'm doing redwork stitchery. And I'll just show you an example of where I've used some blanket stitch in my redwork. So this is a quilt that I've made. This is called Ted and Dog, and it's all about 2 friends, Ted and Dog. And as you can see, I've used some of the blanket stitch around the pillow that Ted is currently sleeping on. And I have done a pattern for this quilt. It's available to purchase and download from my website, and it's called Ted and Dog. And my website again is GourmetQuilter.com. But I just thought I'd show you that some of these stitches, relatively simple, but very practical and very usable. And of course not only for red, you can use them in different colours and for all sorts of other uses as well. Thank you.